Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would sit down and do yet another video for you guys. Yes, I'm going to drink some Mootopia, fat-free Mootopia. High protein, ultra filtered fat-free milk. It's good stuff. It's phenomenal. Of course, I've had people criticize the fact online that I'm drinking a fat-free milk. I don't know what more to say about that. Same people will talk about hitting certain macros and then they're bothered that I'm eating a fat-free product to hit my target macros. Because I want protein. I want protein from my protein sources. Not a difficult concept to grasp. All right, back over to the point. All this banter back and forth, and it's frustrating because people are not getting that obesity and other stuff. It's a combination of factors, and particularly the insulin sensitivity side. All right, people want to go one or the other, and it's the extremists, and they're always going, oh, it's the sugar, and hopefully they mean fructose, because if you think any other sort of sugar, any other type of sugar is linked to insulin resistance, you don't know what you're talking about. Let's just be clear. We're talking about refined fructose. What most of you call table sugar or high fructose corn syrup. Those are the two big ones. That's where we're getting all of it in our diet. Okay? We need to be clear. Okay, honey would count too. Ironically, a bunch of the carnivore types will eat honey. Imagine being scared of watermelon, in which the fructose is packaged in fiber and most of it doesn't reach your bloodstream, but you'll eat honey, but you're scared of sugar. You're eating table sugar with a couple of vitamins added. That is what honey is. There's no fiber, so you're absorbing it in the upper GI tract. Okay? It's not being fermented by your gut and your lower intestine. It's 50% fructose. Explain to me why this is better than high fructose corn syrup. You can't. Because it's the same shit. All right. But you got this one camp. They want to blame sugar for everything. It's all for, and they're like, unsaturated fat is healthy. In fact, you'll see the same clowns will jump up and tell you, we now know that saturated fat is necessary in our diet. Really, who's we? Because no nutrition experts. That's not what researchers or scientists are saying. Do you need saturated fat? Really? Okay. Hold on for a minute. The same people will claim that sugar and carbohydrates turn into fat. What sort of fat do you think it's turning into? Like in the trace little tiny amounts of de novo lipogenesis happens, what do you think it's turning into? What do you think non-alcoholic fatty liver is? It's turning into saturated fat. Your body can make saturated fat out of it just fine, in theory. According to their because that is what fatty liver is. It's saturated fat in there. Saturated fat can also store there in your diet. But I digress. They'll claim it's all the fructose, but we need saturated. No, we don't. There's no need for it. It is not essential in any way. You do not have to have a single gram of saturated fat in your diet for optimal health. Okay, let's be clear on that. It is not a requirement. So that is not an essential fat. And they are right. Fructose plays an enormous role in insulin resistance and obesity because of the insulin resistance. We're not storing the fructose directly as body fat. We need to be clear that's coming from the fat you eat. But it can cause metabolic syndrome, it can cause insulin resistance and excess. So they're not wrong, but they're in denial about saturated fat. You come all the way over to the vegans. That's saturated fat from animals. They won't ignore the saturated fat from coconuts, which is arguably just as bad. If in some cases, some experts think it might be worse than a lot of animal source saturated fat, but I digress. Only the saturated fat from animals is causing this. And they'll eat tons of sugar. They'll eat refined sugars. Now, are you right to a degree? Is the saturated fat from animals a factor? Yes, so is the saturated fat from plants. Keep drinking your goofy ass coconut oil. Okay? I mean, let's come back over to those people, the junk food vegans who get sick. Drink my coconut oil and it's organic cane sugar. Okay. That's still sucrose. It's junk. You're going to be fat, diabetic, and get cancer. Just accept it, even though you don't eat any animal stuff. You're eating the same crap molecularly. Just stop. Just stop. Let's have some common fucking sense. How about we look at the total sum of data and go, you know what? Large amounts of saturated fat are a problem. Okay? Well, the data is in support of that. Not saying in trace amounts, but yeah, large amounts seem to be a problem, particularly for insulin resistance. Okay? Refined fructose, absolutely a problem. Why is it so difficult for people to go both in excess are bad? Why is that so hard? What is the malfunction? Is it because it doesn't fit someone's dogma? Don't blame steak for what the sugar did. How about too much fatty steak and too much sugar is a really, really, really bad combination? Throw some butter in on top of that and you're really in trouble. Now go over to the vegans. Purely that animal stuff. No, you can eat too much plant source saturated fat and then you're eating all this refined fructose with it. Guess what? Your diet is now just as bad as a standard American diet. Let's say that to both groups. Both of you, once you take those steps, you are now eating a diet with a bunch of saturated fat and a bunch of refined fructose. Both groups, both extremes. At this point, your diet is no different from a standard American diet. You're going to die of the same things. So why can't people say that, maybe I shouldn't have too much of either one of these? How about we just say too much saturated fat is junk food? How about we say too much refined sugar is junk food? And it doesn't matter that the saturated fat comes from a coconut, vegans and carnivores. It doesn't matter that it came from honey. This shouldn't be difficult. Why can't people accept that these two things in excess have both been repeatedly shown to have negative health outcomes? It's not one or the other. It's not going, only drinking arsenic will kill you, not cyanide. I mean, that's a good way to compare it. And I'm not saying that, let me step back. People are going to say, Blaha is saying that they're literal poisons. That's not what I'm saying. God, people are dumb. There's a point where it's just hard to talk to people. People are just so stupid sometimes. Not all of you. A lot of you are intelligent. But literally some of these responses you get, it's just you have to stare in awe. I'm using it as an example. In other words, either one of those and too much, it's just those are very low amounts, is too much, are bad. It's not a one or the other. Combined together, it's really bad. So look at saturated fat and fructose in the same way. All right, too much, it's not just one or the other. Too much of either one, too much. The key word, too much, excess of either one is bad. Okay? Up here, this one, here it might be okay, up here it's bad. The other one, here it might be okay. We take it here, it's bad. Take both of them up here and it's really fucking bad. Want to make that worse than some alcohol in the mix on top of it. That's worse than all of them. Nobody wants to accept that. Same people, okay, I love that. There, you talk about hypocrisy. That one, even in small amounts, causes negative health outcomes. That's actually a myth. As you go look closer at the data, there's been a lot of fudged data to allow people a little moderate drinking here or there in this or that country. 1 or 2 drinks a week is enough to see some negatives. That one is a literal poison, by the way. A literal addictive poison. So you really want to be unhealthy, throw that on top of it. And it doesn't matter that you knew of this one guy. This one guy, my 12th great-grandpa, second uncle's cousin twice removed, ate butter, table sugar, and drink whiskey, and he lived to 93. Okay. There's also been a guy who put 5 bullets in a Russian roulette gun and spun it and survived 3 rounds. Even with 1 in 6 odds of being surviving each time, it has happened before. That's not how we base risk. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.